Welcome to Fuel. Fuel stands for Finance, Unity, Empowerment, Legacy. Today, join us as we discuss understanding money and the process of paying yourself first with our hosts, Dennis Sawyer, Dr. Jackie Moore, and Louis McElwain.
I'm always inspired
So,
by money.
of
I'll be
course,
back.
you are, you capitalist. Last time you were the narcissist, now
Yeah, I
you're the
know.
capitalist.
I got a book of all the names you called me. Let me see. Let me go through this book. Look all these things he done called me this year. You know, there would be no capitalism without slavery.
There you go. You know what? Every time I press record, that's when you want to have a Black History moment.
It's not
Well, we
Black
are in Black
history.
History Month. Why not?
Look, let me tell you something, brother. If it wasn't for the slave trade, we wouldn't have the stock market either. The original stock was Black people. Lock, stock, and barrel. And reparations have already been paid. They paid it to the white,
Yes.
the farm, whatever you call them people, colonialists, the southern people got paid for slavery. So reparations have already been paid. So the problem is that the cattle or the stock never gets paid for their service, but the farmer gets paid for his cattle. So the stock market, the reparations have already been paid. So they gonna fight in Congress for reparations. They got to call it a different name because that 40 acres in the mule, they got it.
They got.
The people who thought they were going to get it didn't get it. Matter of fact, after in Australia, they had a war. Well, everybody had a war, a world war. Australia, you know, where the indigenous people live, where they were killed.
The Aborigines.
Aborigines, you know, there are Aborigines in the United States too, but most people aren't taught that. They taught that Christopher Columbus discovered America. Christopher Columbus never stepped foot in this land. Matter of fact, your African brothers and sisters were here long, I think it was 3,000 years before Christopher Columbus, but Europeans don't look at our history as being valuable. But what does that got to do with money? Well, you know,
Yes.
You might ask.
You might ask. You know, if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. I was watching it was a conference on African history. They always start 400 years ago. Our history didn't start 400 years ago. That's what the Europeans tell you. Our history is the history of the world. It's not the history of 400 years. It's the history of the beginning, the first civilizations. Look up Nubia. And if you find out information, you'll find out that the Europeans raided Nubia before they flooded it. They built a dam and they flooded Nubia. But before they flooded it, they went and took all the books, all the artifacts. And now you can go to London, you can go to Brussels, you can go to Holland, you can go to all them European countries and see African art, African stuff, but everything else is hidden away. The things they took from Alexandria in Africa. I have a friend that didn't know that Egypt was in Africa. And most people think that the pyramids are the best, the only pyramids. There are hundreds of pyramids. And the Nile River flows south to north. So the beginning of the Nile is not the Mediterranean Sea. That's the end of the Nile. But if you go to the beginning of the Nile, Sudan and all those countries, you'll see the beginning of the pyramids. So what does that have to do with money? If you don't know the whole understanding of trade, then you don't understand money. So trade initially, and there's a good book called The Richest Man in Babylon you should read. And it talks more about trade than money. But money is trade. We used to be on the barter system. The barter system is, hey, Mac, can you help me push my car up the street? Yeah, if you help me get my cow back in the barn. Sure, if you help me build a stable for my horse. Okay, if you help me pave my driveway. No money has exchanged hands, but money represents labor and time. And time is your most valuable commodity. It's even more valuable than gold. I know. What? But you can't spend time. But millions, billions of people go to work every day and work 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. My butt actually work 20-hour days, 7 days a week for remuneration, cash money, the dollar bill, y'all. So what does anything have to do with money? Everything. What does fiat mean? Fake money. What's fake money? Okay, I'm gonna leave that one to the end of the conversation. So here we go. We have to find a way to trade. So Dr. Jackie is called Dr. Jackie because she went to school for PhD. So her PhD has a value to it. It took her how many years to get your PhD?
6.
I mean, including your bachelor's and your master's and all that.
Oh, okay.
No, all that's included,
Okay.
right?
So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 14,
Okay,
14,
we're gonna give her a new math class.
14.
I'm just playing. So you
Well,
look
I had
at
double masters. I have to count all of that.
I know
Thank
what
you
you got,
very
2
much.
masters.
Mhm.
So all that represents is time and money. So everything you do, unfortunately, can be taken back to money. I mean, I got friends who buy sneakers and they sell sneakers, money, stock market, money, somewhere to sleep, money. So her PhD has a value to it. It actually has a monetary value. So when you meet somebody who says they have a PhD, yeah, they call me Dr. Johns. The first thing I ask them is, oh yeah, where did you get your PhD? Oh, it's an honorary term. No, it ain't. No, it ain't. It's a monetary term. Master's, bachelor's, high school. It all has monetary designations to it. How much determines the market. The market determines how much things cost. So that's our basketball players. So I'm giving you market ideas so you know what I'm talking about. If you look at a basketball player, they make $1 million a minute. Why? Because people are willing to pay $500 to sit in a stadium that holds 80,000 people to watch 10 people play basketball. That's because what the market will pay. Unfortunately, for a PhD, she'll have 30 students. What was the maximum amount of students you had, Dr. Jackie?
Yeah, about 30, 32.
So even if those 30 students were paying $1,000 for each one of her classes, the max she could generate would be $30,000 a year from those students. Now that's just one class. Of course, she had more classes and more students. I'm just trying to show you how money affects what you do. I worked in a field that not too many people wanted to work in. It was dangerous. We had all kinds of things that we had to do that I'm not proud of, but I didn't think about it while I was doing it because I was getting paid. But everything had a monetary value. I went to college for engineering and I got a job at United Technologies. And they said, hey, you want to work overtime? We'll pay you. But it beat my body up. So now I can't work like that anymore. So there generates the money thing. So let's break it down even simpler. Look at the money in your pocket as an employee instead of as something to spend on Friday night. Is that okay, Mac?
That's okay.
All right, so I'm trying to get them into it. I don't want to talk the whole time, so forgive me. So that dollar in your pocket is an employee, and you have the option of sending that employee either to bed or to work. So how do you send that employee to bed? You buy things that are wants. I want that. I want this. In the Black community, where billions of dollars are not circulated, they say it stays in the Black community less than a week, less than a day. I forgot the exact number right now. Money stays in the Black community very, very short, but in the Asian community, stays there for weeks. The so-called Jewish community stays for months. Our community, days are hours. So what we don't understand is that that dollar bill is an employee. Mac and I were talking about investing. Now, am I telling you to invest? No. Am I telling you not to invest? No. I am telling you that you have to find a way to put your employees to work for you. Imagine working at McDonald's and you sit in a chair all day long. Would you get paid or would you get fired? Wow.
Mm.
We only got 20 answers to that one.
That's a novel concept, a novel way of looking at your money as your own employee. Because from previous conversations, one of the things I talk about repeatedly is paying yourself first. So if that dollar bill is your employee, then you need to pay yourself. You need to not just do your wants, but use it for the betterment of you and your other generations. You need to find a way for that employee to work longer, to stay in your community longer, in your family longer. That's it. I like that concept.
Well, Dr. Jackie, give us a strategy. Give us like a number that we can hold on to. So how do we pay ourselves back? I mean, I made $100. What should I do?
Well, excuse me. We often talk about setting aside a set amount for church and tithing of 10%. And so we could use that same amount. I mean, those who have religious bearings for their money, they put a percentage on it. One of the things that I find when I talk to individuals, they feel that they cannot afford to pay themselves, but they pay those bills and they pay their tithings and they pay their friends, but they can't afford. And so I would like to say as a percentage, 10%, but the bigger issue is that looking at your money, making a designated amount for you, which may be different for the amount for Mac and different for the amount for Dennis, right? So, and I'll give you an example. I was talking to my brother who is not very good with money. And when I talk to him about how money works, he shuts down because he feels that he doesn't have enough coming in to do. And he also feels that in order to save, the amount must be large. So example, $100, $200. And so I said to him, I've never put an amount on it for you because I want you to embrace the concept that you are as valuable as the bills that you pay.
Or more.
And more. And because those bills wouldn't be there if you weren't around.
Right.
And so if you are the employee, and the money is the employee, then you have to pay yourself an amount. But I don't care if it's $5. I don't care if it's 10, because first you get into the concept that you will do it every time you get paid, that you are worth being paid. And what you will find is that you will increase that amount. It doesn't stay 5, but you've got to start somewhere. And you can't say, well, I'm just doing it for me. And I obviously don't have any value, but I've got to pay these other. No, no. The concept of paying yourself first is what has to be taken in as you are valuable enough to do. And then Dennis talks about this in other instances, is setting up the habit of doing that same thing, exercising that concept repeatedly. And they say to get into the mode is 21 days, but it's really a longer period of time because it's so easy. The wind could blow and you break the habit. But you are of value. You look at your amount and say, I have this $2 extra, take one of them and put it aside. Because one day you will have $5 extra and you'll take 2 of those and but the habit of I'm going to take something and put it aside and I'm not going to touch it. It's paying yourself first and making it the employee, putting that money in.
Well, my dad, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's it. Sorry.
My dad, I learned one lesson from my father that was really valuable. One day he said, Dennis, go in my closet, pull out the jar and count out $500. So I grabbed this 5-gallon jug, poured it all out because I'm like, well, this thing can't be more than $500. So I poured it all out. And when I got to $500, I pretty much had to put everything back in the jug. And ever since then, I realized that a little bit of change can actually be a big amount of money. So I started doing what he was doing. If I went out and I bought something, Mac, and it cost $1.50, I would put $50 in the jug.
50 cents.
After a while, what'd I say?
Yes, $50, but 50 cents, whatever the change was.
My money multiplies. But at the end of the year, I had enough money to take a vacation without saving for a vacation. Now, my coworkers used to throw pennies away. Yes, I picked them up. And I just would pick them up and like, oh my God, this is 80 cents. 80 cents is 80 cents, whether it's 80 pennies, 3 quarters and a nickel, 8 dimes, 16 nickels, it's 80 cents. So every day they would throw the pennies in the corner. When they walked out the door, I go pick them up and put them in a jar. And now I had enough money to take 2 people on vacation. And I'm like, okay, this isn't even my money right now. What would happen if I started putting my money in there? And that's when I started putting my extra change in a jar. I don't do it that much anymore because they're trying to get us off of money. They want us to use credit cards. It's a different concept now. But now you got to be more diligent to do it for yourself. Mm-hmm. But eventually I had enough money to do those extra things. You know, sometimes you just want to take your lady out to dinner. And it looks like pennies, but while she's chomping down on that steak, she don't have to know.
Mm-hmm. But it is that concept.
Hey, can I jump in on?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, Dr.
No, I was going to say, what did you, and where are you on this concept?
So it's interesting. So just to kind of piggyback on what Dennis just shared, because I know that he says that now, as we are getting away from actual physical currency, I was thinking about, oh gosh, wait till I share what I do. So with me, coming from a background where I worked in finance for most of my career, everything is about pennies and change. And so even with my own personal ledger, when I'm in my checkbook or my spreadsheet and I'm balancing out things in my ledger, if I have extra change every day, I mean literally daily, I move that change into the savings, so that on my main account, everything is even dollars. And then all of my change makes up the amounts that I call a savings. And that's basically for like emergency fund type stuff. And also, I use some of it to cover my property taxes. So, to give an example, so if I went out and bought something from Amazon, and all of a sudden, when I take away that value, I'm left with 95 cents, whatever amount plus 95 cents. Well, I'm moving that 95 cents into my savings account immediately so that every day I'm experiencing growth within my own account. So to your point, Dr. Jackie, it's literally like giving myself amounts of money on a daily basis. And then from there, taking that money and doing something more productive with it. And that goes more to Dennis's point, where you're using that money as an employee, not us being the employee for money as an employer. And I think that's the way most people are living their lives. You go out, you buy a new car, and now you're living to pay for the car. And that's backwards. We should be accumulating wealth so that, in fact, the car is just something that we can go out and purchase, and we're not working day and night to make a payment. Because we can go to the car dealership and just say, hey, this is what I want, this is what I have, let's do business, and walk out of it, not having to worry about any interest payments that will extend for 60 months, 72 months. So it's about flipping the experience so that we, in fact, easy concept, are the lender, not the borrower.
Yep. So, hey, what about, I mean, you said interest, but you said interest, how it hurts you. What about interest, how it helps you?
Okay, yeah.
So,
I mean,
let's
yeah,
look at-
so go ahead.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I saw your lips moving. I didn't hear anything. I apologize. But let's say you got a bank account and you're getting 0.03% interest. What really does that mean? Most of us don't know, but you take one quick calculation, take the number 72, and this is by Albert Einstein, not by me. Albert Einstein came up with this equation. It's called the rule of 72. You take the number 72 and divide it by your interest rate. So for it hurting you or helping you. So the 0.03 was supposed to be helping me, but 72 divided by 0.03 is 2,400. So what that 2,400 means is at 0.03% interest, it will take 2,400 years for my money to double, just double. But what if you were getting 1%? 72 divided by 1 is now 72 years. What about 10%? Now 72 divided by 10 is 7.2 years. And we can take it up even higher because I know people with credit cards that are 20%. So if you use it to help you, you use it to hurt you. So anything I do now, well, I don't do anything on time anymore, thank the Lord. But when I used to, I would look at the credit interest rate and I would use the rule of 72, and that would let me determine whether or not it was worth buying that $100 item that I was going to end up paying $200 for, or the $200 item I'm going to end up paying $400 for. I wish I had thought about that when I bought my house, because my house, I'm going to end up paying triple for it. And, I know people tell you, well, you get money back on your taxes and all that. Who cares? I want to be the owner of the paper for the house. The heck with the house, because I want the interest rate to work better for me. So if you ever look
Yes.
at your mortgage statements, don't look at the first page. Look at the last payment, how much you have paid these people, and then calculate how much you get back every tax year, and add it up and see if it comes anywhere close to double to triple the value of your house. So this is why we talk about money, right? This is why we're trying to make all the equations make sense. I mean, there used to be something called the 80-20 rule. You remember the 80-20 rule, Dr. Jackie? 80%. See, now I done messed up because I just forgot it. Sorry. But it was a rule of savings. 80-10. 80% goes to your living expenses, 10 goes to tithe, 10 goes to savings. Woo, did I save that?
Yeah.
So you have to come up with a rule that works for you. The Bible says 10%, I do 10%. 10% for everything. 10% for my life, 10% for him, 10% for my daughter, 10%. And it doesn't hurt once you get used to it. So imagine the day before you got a raise at your job and you were living off of whatever you were getting paid. Now you got a raise, but you were already living off of a lower amount. Why not make that money work for you? Find better interests, actively seek out interest-bearing accounts that pay more. It's tough, because the average bank account, I think they go from like 2.5 to 0.03. And then you got to pay taxes on it if you make too much. But there are ways that you can take advantage of the nature of the United States, and you can make better interest. And I don't want to point one out right now, but there's one on my mind. Life insurance. Not all life insurance. Cash value life insurance. And you can get better interest than the money sitting in the bank account. I mean, see your insurance agent and ask them about cash value life insurance. And I know everybody's going to say, whole life? No. Okay, there's term, whole life, and permanent universal life. All right, and maybe one day we can go into a better definition. But in universal life, you can get better interest. I don't know what it is this day because everything's been downgraded because of COVID. Yes, we're still in COVID. This is 2021. I didn't want to date this broadcast, but if I'm talking about interest rate, I better date it too. But if you don't have an agent, you can always contact us and we can direct you to someone that can help you start saving, not only for your future, but for your children's future. One thing Mac told me one time, I think he told me this, the minute you get a job, you should start saving. And then Dr. Jackie said, save where? That's why you need a financial professional, to answer those questions. So Mac, I cut you off. I hope you remember what you were going to say.
Oh gosh, I probably don't now, but just to but that's okay. But just to kind of just confirm what has been shared, it is so critical. I always throw my life experience out as kind of like the example that I want our followers to understand that I've been on this planet for 58 years, almost 59 years now, and at least 40 of them have been in major debt. And it's all because of understanding, or better yet, not understanding that money should be working for us and not us working for it. If they don't get anything else out of this, it's about putting oneself in a position to rechange that concept. We're always taught to go out and pursue things. You know, this world gives us all types of things that we should aspire to, and we get lost in that so much that we then begin to work for things, as opposed to taking a valuable understanding and concepts of money management, to look at it just as you guys have already said, and say, what's the best way to use this tool? Because if money is the tool, then what's the best way for me to use it? If I'm a carpenter and I have a hammer, I'm not going to use a hammer to saw something. It doesn't make any sense.
Right.
It's not going to get what I wanted to achieve. But if I then understand that that money can actually, by Dennis's example, it can grow. It can grow by whatever interest that I can get from it. Then I'm going to make sure that after taking care of living expenses, a little entertainment, and whatever I want to give to charity, that I'm going to take the rest of that, and it has got to work for me, because at almost 59, I can't produce physically the way I could when I was 25. And so I cannot physically go out there and do the work any longer. So I have to let that tool, money, do the working for me. That's all I wanted to say.
Well, I got one thing real quick, Dr. Jackie, I'm sorry.
No,
But
that's okay.
it's just a quick sentence. It's a saying, I mean, in time of plenty, save in time of plenty for a time of famine, because famine surely will come. It's not a maybe, it's a definite. So that's all I wanted to say, because Mac made me think about that. Go on, Dr. Jack.
I was just going to say that you was kind of wrapping us all up, Mac, with your statement, and Dennis is putting a saying to carry on with it. And as for me, I think that we should talk further about this whole concept of saving and the function of money, because in a capitalistic world, we walk and work with the idea it's to be spent. But somebody is not spending it. Somebody knows how to make it work for them and their family. And I think those in our community should have that same knowledge. So that's our goal.
Right on. Excellent.
Absolutely. You know what? I don't even think we need to go any further than that. Dr. Jackie, you have had the final word.
So bye, everybody. I'm so glad that you all stayed tuned.
Yeah. Like I said,
all right.
we're always willing to give out more information if you need it.
Absolutely. So again, from your friends at Fuel, which is finance, unity, empowerment, legacy, with Dr. Jackie, looking absolutely fabulous today, with Dennis doing the best that he can with what he's got. And yours truly, Mac, We thank you for spending some time with us, and we will see you the next time. God bless.
Thank you for joining us at Fuel. Please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Fueling Future Generations, and also to reach out to us directly by emailing us at fuelingfuturegenerations2020@gmail.com.